Today we're going to talk about co-teaching and then kind of making it into a successful partnership. So I went to a PD with Marilyn Friend. She is a doctor. She does a lot of videos on co-teaching, and she compared co-teaching to, what do you guys think? Marriage. So what to me, sitcom best describes your co-teaching partnership? Is it like Married with Children or Roseanne? She actually posted a lot of older like sitcoms like Leave It to Beaver. So think about your co-teacher and what do you guys think your marriage in the classroom looks like? So we have one set of co-teachers here. Can you guys think of one? Or is it hard? Is it hard to?
Would be, I don't know, it would be a Roseanne thing. I think because we do communicate about the materials that we were presenting. I mean, we're presenting to the class. It's definitely not Married with Children.
And it's definitely not Leave It to Beaver. No?
No.
Is that the ideal though? The question is, so guess what? A secret to a good marriage and a good partnership is communication, right? So in order for you to have a successful, what is called a professional learning team, there's 3 values. So research was done, and we went into classroom where there was novice co-teachers, and then there was veterans who were working together for various years. And they found out that 3 things are important. One is that you need to value each other. So kind of, the second one is to understand each other's differences. And I think that was the hardest one, because that is, you're gonna have different viewpoints, and you're gonna have some conflict, but good, like veteran co-teachers actually go through the conflict and they work it out, and it becomes a better classroom. And then the third one is you support each other and you grow with each other. So you use each other as a resource. So you kind of look at the other person's expertise and you play back off their expertise in certain situations. So where are we here at MAS? Which is kind of a question I ask myself all the time. So a couple of us, I think this year has been our first year working with our co-teacher, and then Ms. Beal and Habib have been working a couple years together. So there's different stages in the co-teaching here at MAS. I think we're still like in that second phase. We value each other, we like each other, but do we understand each other's differences? Have we had those conversations that are difficult to have? So one of the big questions asked is, with our classroom being so diverse, is the presence of that person enhancing the classroom instruction? So is that person actually impacting the outcome of student achievement? And I don't think we've sat down and actually talked about that. We haven't done a t-test on that or anything like that, right? So we really need to sit down and consider the role that each of us have within the classroom. And that might cause some conflict, but that's also something that has to be a conversation that I think we need. So, in order for us to understand each other, we need to think about ourselves. So I gave you guys a graphic organizer. Could you just flip over, because we're just gonna do a little T-chart. We're gonna do a T-chart. One of them is gonna be our strengths, and the second part is gonna be our limitations. We're gonna think about not only us as professionals, but our personalities, right? So what are our strengths that we bring into the co-teaching partnership? So for example, when I filled this out with Mr. Nelson, I kind of have a silly sense of humor, so I would say that's a strength, right? What are our liabilities that we bring to the co-teaching partnership? One of the examples I had was, I'm not assertive, so sometimes I want to jump in, and I just don't because I'm very hesitant of his reaction. So that was a limitation that I gave myself. So jot down at least 2 strengths and 2 limitations. Okay. So in order for us to create or blend our expertise, we have to create that a partnership, and that usually starts with a conversation. So if you flip over, you see that graphic organizer. And I forgot to bring the tape, but basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna sit with your co-teacher, and for this one, Dean and Ed, you guys could just work together, and you fill this out. So, gen ed teacher, what are your strengths? What are your limitations? Special ed teacher, what are your strengths? What are your limitations? And kind of play off of each other and see where you guys could help each other grow as professionals. So I'm gonna give you guys a couple minutes to do that, and then maybe we'll share.
I guess I remember first strengths, detail.
Well, I wrote down strength, communication, and I tried to go
The same word.
I
And then after
how the
implementing.
what I taught in the class, what the materials didn't work out, and what worked well.
For my strengths, I come at it from a non-expert perspective, so I feel like I can understand where there might be breakdowns in what kids are understanding. And also, I feel like I can rephrase things just enough, so if there's some way where there's a breakdown in what kids are understanding, I can re-say it in a different way, because sometimes that's all kids need to hear. So communication, but like with students and from a student perspective,
Yeah,
not necessarily between you and I.
And my liabilities, I would, conferences, students, I usually,
And then I also,
I haven't done, I haven't myself successful with that. And scaffolding on the assignments, and that comes from not knowing ins and outs. I know their needs, it's just trying to navigate that.
Okay, so then you just kind of came up with a good example of where Ms. Nolan could jump in, right? So you say you struggle with scaffolding, and making conferences,
right.
maybe you guys could build in your classroom time where Ms. Nolan conference with the kids while you're up there lecturing or.
Exactly, that's what she does, she usually sits down and talks, especially on Sunday, she does some conferences and kids talk about this.
Okay, so it seems that you guys already have.
Yeah, all right.
You guys see this value.
To be concise, but we can know it.
Okay, looks like you guys,
Mm.
so what are your feedback on this graphic organizer? Is it a good starting point to have those discussions that sometimes are difficult to have? Is this something that would be useful in the beginning of the school year? And we could also talk about paraprofessionals, so like you and Mr. Navarro could have this conversation, you and Ms. Rodriguez, where it's like, what are your strengths, where do I need to help you, and where could you help me? And then a partnership that is happily ever after, values each other, understands each other, and supports each other, so that they both could grow as professionals, and the outcome is student achievement. So that's
Realistically, is there a possibility that we could try and do this like during first quarter sometime?
I want to do it the first couple of days that we come back.
Okay.
I think it would be a good idea, because then we're on the same page as far as
Right.
what the
There's also other
expectations
things we
are.
could do. This is just like a short one, but there's other things that we could do in order for us to have those conversations. I think we need to the first week of school.